everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing well, and happy full moon in Aries. I hope that the energies, very potent energies today, so potent that the divine wanted me to come in and bring in this download that I wanted to share with the collective about what this full moon portal is anchoring in the fields, what it is anchoring for us as the Earth Angel Starseed Lightworker Ascending Collective. Very exciting message. And for me, it all started this morning when I woke up. I had such a deep feeling of sorrow in my heart. And it was funny because, everything was fine yesterday. There wasn't anything in particular that I was working through, but I felt this gnawing sorrow in my heart. And I was revisiting some of the disappointments that I'd had in the past, many of which have sort of created this frustration with how a certain area of my life played out. And, it was very much connected in with that sorrow. And I just went into it in this neutral sort of witness energy to just kind of move through that energy and just see how I could transmute it or what it was saying to me. And as the day wore on, it's funny because I went to the store shortly after that, and the sales girl, she was saying how weird her day had been. And I said, maybe it's a full moon. And she said, I think it might be. So I did come back and check, and lo and behold, it actually was a full moon. And I didn't even know that we were having a full moon this evening, because I honestly, even though I am an astrologer, I don't always check into stuff like that, especially when I get busy with different things. But I went into the energy of the full moon, and for those of you who are new to my work, one of my ways that I map the fields is through what I like to call terrestrology, which is simply looking at the archetypes that govern each deacon of the astrology world, the tarot specifically, archetypes, and how those correspond to each deacon of the zodiac in each sign of the zodiac, so that we can kind of understand collective energy and how it's influencing us collectively and individually. And so I went into this full moon energy, and as you know, and I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but just in case you don't know, because not everyone knows this stuff, when we're having a full moon, basically what it is the moon is 180 degrees in the opposite axis sign to the sun. So the axis line for this full moon in Aries is the sun is in Libra, in the second decan of Libra. The moon is in the second decan of Aries, and it provides that opportunity for us to find balance within those polarities, or healing on one end of those polarities. I do also want to say, because I do feel guided to share this with you, that for me anyway, the multidimensional understanding that the divine has given me about astrology and the transits and what they mean on a spectrum level, when you go up to the higher spectrum, the sun is transiting all of these signs and activating a certain alchemical process that those of us who are on the ascension path and are working with these energies, we can use them to distill into our organic essence, into our purity, and into our soul blueprint codex, and really activate those in a major and powerful way. So the sun and the second decan of Libra, the terrestrology around that is the Three of Swords. So those of you who are familiar with tarot, I'll put the picture of the card in case you're not on this video. So you should be looking at it right now. And if you are, I followed through. And so it's in the second decan. This is Three of Swords energy. And that's when I started to understand why so much was coming up, all of this deep sorrow. It was almost like sorrow that I had kind of stored away in my heart chakra that was really coming out and really kind of tearing me up this morning, just kind of out of the blue. And I do want to say that if you have found yourself feeling this deep sorrow, this gnawing sorrow, it is a very collective one. And it's because of the energies that are coming in as we purify, so that we can start moving forward into this new beginning energy. So what is happening here is we have in Libra, we have the sun that is illuminating and creating this alchemy. And if you visited my previous videos, you've learned that Libra season is powerful for shifting timelines, because we have the consequences from the past timelines, the decisions, the choice points, and the consciousness in which we used to navigate those, creating our now moment. And then we have the empowerment to shift and change and transform, so that we can create a new beginning for ourselves and move into this new beginning energy. In fact, the alchemy behind Libra is one of sublimation. So we have this opportunity to transmute and sort of make this powerful quantum jump in quantum leap, sublimating timelines in this energy. So for many of us, a lot of these deep heart hurts, the energy, what I'm feeling specifically are heart walls. And I'm sure a lot of you know what those are. I personally call them heart armor in my work. And basically, this is sort of like an energetic barrier or blockage that forms in the heart chakra. And it's comprised of all of those energies that end up breaking our heart, specifically rejection, betrayal, abandonment, disappointment. And there's another one, I forgot what it is, but you get the idea. And all of the spectrums that those energies run and their byproducts, they kind of build up in the heart chakra and can close us down at the heart and create this certain inorganic frequency within our heart resonance. And so a lot of it is coming up for us for sublimation, for clearing. So if you're finding yourself going into these sad spaces, perhaps you're touching aspects of yourself that create this deep sorrow or this deep sense of grief, because basically what we are doing is we are grieving. And what they're showing me here are Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's, her 5 stages of death. And then there's denial, oh gosh, I never get these in the right order. There's denial, anger, bargaining, grief, acceptance. And grief is the last energy of this transformation into accepting, where we become this crucible. We're talking about Ace of Cups, that chalice that I use for my website and my work. We become accepting, and being accepting simply means that you are open, and you're open to your new beginning. And so, it's interesting also that they're showing this to me as this, because what they're also having me share with you is that we are all going through some level of a death. And it is a death to an old way of being, an old identity, an old frequency, an old timeline, specifically one that probably began about 10 to 13 years ago, because that's when this new cycle energy really starts to ramp up. So we are going through this death of the energies and the distortions and the programs and the blocks and those places and spaces where we needed to expand in this last cycle. We are dying to that, and a new cycle is opening up. So we're crossing that bridge where we are transmuting, healing, sublimating these old hurts that have blocked the heart chakra, because we are moving into and expanding through the light body our ability to receive. And this is why the divine gave me the name for Ace of Cups Ministries. You guys who have been with me for a while know that I've had a couple of different brandings, but this one really feels fitting to the energy that we're going into, because what they're showing it to me as are the words of Yeshua when he said that, you can't put new wine into old wineskins, or you can't put new wine into an old cup. You have to clean out the cup, and then, you can bring in the new wine. And this is kind of the energy that we're in at this time. So a lot of these old hurts, and for many of us, these are either ancient hurts and traumas, or these are things that we thought that we cleared, but maybe we didn't get to everything at the root, or maybe it's just an aspect of us, the mindset, the consciousness, the frequency that we were in that drew to us and attracted to us, and that we used to co-create the old inorganic energy that we used to create some of the lessons and the situations that we set up for ourselves, or that the divine brought in this last cycle. We are grieving the end of that, because we are moving into this place of expanding our ability to receive as we move into these new cycles, which brings me 180 degrees on the other side into the Aries energy, because this is where the full moon is happening. And, as we learn in spiritual circles, new age circles, or whatever, the moon cycles, the full moon is a time to release, right? And the new moon is the time to create something new. I don't exactly work with lunar energies like that, because the way that my guides and the divine had opened it up for me is that, yes, it is all of that. And I'm not trying to tell you not to do that. But what they were showing me specifically is the lunar energy pulls on, changes and shifts the emotional body of the planet. So it shifts and works with that energy, as above, so below. The moon and lunar energy, it changes and shifts the tides. And in a spiritual or a multidimensional way, it shifts and changes our own water, our own emotional bodies as well. It creates those changes through these different cycles. And so, So every full moon, especially in the new moon too, but the full moon gives us this opportunity to shift and change our emotional body resonance, what it is that we're resonating with. So as the solar energy and the solar light code come in through the physical sun, because these are codes that are coming in from the higher dimensions, and they work to sublimate us in that Three of Swords energy, what it is creating for us in our emotional body is this shift and change. And the second decan of Aries finds us in the Three of Wands. Again, if I didn't forget, you're looking at the Three of Wands in the video right now. If not, you can always Google it if you're not familiar with tarot. But in the Three of Wands, it's the card of expectancy. So what the divine was showing me and how I want to bring this all together is that there is a shift and a change, a purification, if you will, especially around the timelines that we have been traversing in this lifetime up until this point, and definitely the ones that we've been experiencing in this last cycle. Again, this could be anywhere from 9 to 13 years. And we are clearing out and healing that emotional pain, those traumas, those wounds that were creating these different fears and programs that were causing us to create and move the way that we've had and experience the different consequences or circumstances that manifested as part of that whole energy. And we're having this shift in what we expect. So the way that this is broken down to me is that if you've had a history, or in this last cycle, I'll do the twin flame example again. And I know I used one a couple of videos ago, but I mean, this was, the crux of my teaching when I was really, in my, I don't want to say my heyday, but, whatever. And so let's just say, you have had this cycle of unrequited love that is stemming from a childhood program around, I'm invisible, nobody sees me. So, or an undeservingness of love. And this is the energy that you've been running on. You may have found that there have been a lot of examples, feedback loops that have been mirroring that back to you in this last cycle and possibly a good portion of your adult life. And so those deep wounds are coming to the surface for purification. And as a result, it's changing what you expect. So, for example, if you have had this ongoing cycle with that kind of energy or disappointment in love, or you've been struggling with lack and all of those things that creates, because, of course, when you're in lack or dealing with the spirit of poverty, of course, that's going to affect your self-esteem and the way others perceive you, which is going to create more rejection. And it becomes this structure, this template, right? And so let's just go back to the twin flame thing again. So if you've had, or not even twin flame, like relationship, if you've had this cycle of relationship disappointment and unrequitedness, and you've created this heart structure, this heart overlay because of that, you might have been up until this point expecting every time you meet someone, expecting it to end the same way, expecting it to be the same way, expecting the same results. But this is a purification that is coming to shift and change what it is that you are expecting. Or conversely, one thing that the divine is also bringing in here, and this is for many of you on this video, even if you are expecting it to be the same, the divine is getting ready to step in and blow your mind by exceeding your expectations or shocking you by how things turn out. However, in Aries energy, there is that requirement for you to take that action, for you to take some kind of move. Again, feeling that fear and doing it anyway. I mentioned that a couple of videos ago. It's perfect time for that energy because the divine wants you to look at that fear, that thing that looks just like that thing that you tried before. You did it before. You went after this before, and this, that, and the other happened and shut you down. If you can take that one step, or if you can just open that much, that mustard seed of energy, because this is the harvest moon, right? So we want to plant that little mustard seed. Yeshua said, all you need is a mustard seed. That's a tiny, tiny thing. You plant that thing and the divine is going to blow your mind about how this all turns out. And for many of us, having that miraculous change, that miraculous shift, that I did this thing and this is how the divine met me halfway and I created and I did this, that, and the other. Leaving that legacy for future generations, shifting things and really bringing that generational curse breaking full circle where not only did you transmute the pattern, but now you are living the life outside of that energy and really receiving your birthright. It is the shift in the emotional body, the healing in the emotional body to change what we expect. And even if we're still in the space of expectancy, because this has been our story up until this point, remember, Aries energy is also the beginning. It's the first sign of the zodiac. And it is therefore new beginnings and new energy. So we are receiving this huge purification, this beautiful purification. And Aries alchemy is one of purification as well. This purification that is shifting and expanding us to be able to receive and expect more for the divine in order to move into this new cycle with, the ability to receive this and to allow this and to build and co-create in our kingdom energy and in our kingdom power after we release those hurts and those traumas and those blocks that have kept us small and stuck. So I wanted to bring that in just to kind of update you about what is happening collectively, what is happening energetically. So if you have been having a lot of sorrow coming out of the heart, you maybe even some I know for many of us, we get fall allergies. I'm struggling with that myself, but you might have even a little shortness of breath or heart palpitations. That's all deep heart recalibration that is happening specifically under hurts and heartbreaks and those types of energies that have shut the heart down, so that we can start moving into this changing and this purification through the emotional body to open up into what we are expecting, because the three of wands is all about your ships coming in. So the divine is saying that your ships are coming in, but there does have to be this healing around what we expect so we don't self-sabotage, okay? So I hope that makes sense. I hope this resonates with you. If so, please leave your comments below. If you'd like to like, share, subscribe. If you would like to subscribe, please do, because I could use the subscribers. Again, I'm just starting out after a very, very long hiatus. I would love to have you here. I will see you again next time, whenever that is. God bless and take care.